This is a quick Seals of Distinction update for April of 2022. The biggest update is the distribution of the official South Carolina Seals of Distinction 2021-2022 Overview and Guidelines. This document has information about the legislation, the qualifying criteria, some very specific criteria clarifications, the timeline, PowerSchool coding, the postgraduate email address information, parchment information, Seals of Distinction coding with IGPs, and district responsibilities. This is a very comprehensive document. What we're doing today is just covering some very basic and new information. Let me remind you about the documents that are already available on the Padlet. The first one under Official Documents is the new Overview and Guidelines that has just been posted on the Padlet. But in the past, we've had that Seals of Distinction template, which was put out in August. Also new, about a month and a half ago, there's a Seals of Distinction Spanish translation that you can share with your families who speak Spanish. Also, under Resources, there is the How to Enter Seals of Distinction in PowerSchool and the Seals clarification from back in August. Wanted to remind everyone that those are on the Padlet. Let's go over some basic overview information about the Seals of Distinction. The South Carolina Seals of Distinction are a state-level award, and it's granted by the South Carolina Department of Education. The Seals of Distinction don't appear on students' transcripts. They're not a paper document that we give students. They are a digital credential that's issued through the Parchment application. Students must have a Parchment account in order to claim their digital credential, which is their Seal of Distinction. And the Seals of Distinction digital credentials will be available after the students graduate. The students must claim these digital seals, and they'll know when the seals are ready because they'll get an email from the State Department of Education announcing the availability. And the emails are going to be sent to the email addresses stored in the postgraduate email field in PowerSchool, which we will talk about here in just a moment. Just to remind you of how to code the students who've earned a Seal of Distinction. They are coded on the South Carolina Student Information page right beside where you code the diplomas. But remember, when you enter a seal on that page, that means that that student has qualified for that seal, they've earned that seal, and that you have verified that they should receive that seal. Directions on entering seals in PowerSchool, very specific directions, again, are on the Padlet. Just look under Resources. The deadline to enter earned seals for spring graduates is June 15th, a very familiar deadline to all of us. That's also the deadline to get your Seals of Distinction coding completed in PowerSchool. And the deadline to enter any seals for our summer graduates is August 31st of 2022. Okay, let's talk about this postgraduate email address. Graduating students' personal email address must be entered into the new postgraduate email field, and it's on the student demographic page. Okay, this field is located underneath the home phone field. If the field is not there yet, keep an eye out. I was promised that this field will appear very, very soon. And when it does, it's going to be, again, on the demographic page underneath home phone field. And it is very important that this postgraduate email address that you're entering for the students is a personal email address, not a school email address. They will lose access to their school email address. That's why we need their personal email address. And it's the email address associated with their Parchment account. So let's talk about Parchment accounts. Students must possess a Parchment account to claim their Seals of Distinction digital credentials. If your school does not use Parchment, that's okay, but your students do have to have a Parchment account to claim their Seals of Distinction. So for students who have established Parchment accounts, these are the students who already have them, they've already been using them, you want to record the student's personal email address associated with their Parchment account in that postgraduate email field. Okay? Now, if your students created their Parchment accounts, or if you created a Parchment account for your students with their school email address, the students must be told they've got to update their Parchment account with a personal email address, and that's the email address that you're recording in PowerSchool. Now, instructions on how to update their accounts with their personal email address, you can find that at Parchment Support. But this is going to be very important that the postgraduate email field email address is the one associated with their Parchment account. Now, for students who don't have a Parchment account, okay, you still need to record that student's personal email address in the postgraduate email field in PowerSchool. Okay, now students who don't already have a Parchment account can establish an account anytime. They can do it now, they can do it later, they can do it after they get the email from the State Department of Education saying congratulations, you've earned a seal. Okay, they just have to create that account with the email address that is linked or saved in PowerSchool. Again, instructions on students creating Parchment accounts, you can find those at Parchment Support. Now, the South Carolina Department of Education notifies the students of the availability of those seals, and that doesn't happen until after the students graduate. That's why it's so important to have a personal email address saved for your students, because the emails will be going to that address because you know they lose access to those school email addresses. Okay, so notification of availability will be sent to students after graduation. It's a few weeks after graduation, and again, it's going to be sent to that email address stored in the postgraduate email in PowerSchool. Again, it will be a couple of weeks after graduation, so once you have coded your seals and you've input your student's postgraduate email address, at that point, everything else, all the notifications and awarding comes from the State Department of Education straight to your students. Again, I want to let everyone know that there is the 21-22 overview and guidelines of the Seals of Distinction. These are specific overview and guidelines for our class of 2022 students. This document has been sent to the Seals of Distinction contacts for the district, also the school counseling personnel coordinators for the districts. The ones that they have identified at the State Department have received this. Again, it is on the Padlet for anyone to see. And again, this document has a lot more in-depth information that you may need. So please, please, please take a moment and take a look. Now, if you have any questions about this, we're here to help. I'm Anna Duval, and I can answer any general seals, criteria, information. That I am your girl for that. But if you have questions about the PowerSchool coding and the email addresses and where to put them, that actually goes through the Office of Research and Data Analysis, and Wyatt Cothran is happy to help you with that. We're here to help. Just let us know what you need. Thanks.